Here's something most people never realize about themselves. Real intelligence doesn't show up where you'd expect it. Not in grades, not in test scores, not in how fast you do math. It hides in small, ordinary habits, the kind you'd never think twice about. And the more of these you see in yourself, the more likely your mind is operating on a level most people never reach. Sign number 1. You have full conversations inside your own head. Highly intelligent people run entire dialogues silently, without ever realizing how unusual it is. They rehearse what they'll say. They replay what someone else said and imagine 3 different ways it could have gone. They argue both sides of a decision as if 2 people were debating inside their skull. Psychologists call this inner speech, and while everyone has some of it, in a highly intelligent mind, it runs almost constantly, like a channel that never quite goes off air. Underneath, their brain is using language to simulate reality, testing outcomes before they happen, so it's never caught unprepared. The cost is that it rarely switches off. The same machinery that solves problems also keeps them awake at night, replaying a conversation from 6 years ago that nobody else even remembers. But this is also why they rarely walk in blind. By the time they act, they've already lived it a dozen times in their head. And that quiet rehearsal is a hidden form of intelligence most people never develop. Watch one of them before an important meeting, and you'll see it, running the whole exchange in advance, predicting the pushback, preparing answers to a question that may never get asked. If you want proof you do this, notice that you've probably already had 2 conversations in your head since this video started. Sign number 2. You notice small details other people walk right past. A highly intelligent person catches the one word that changed in someone's story, the slight shift in a friend's tone, the picture hanging half an inch crooked on the wall, which they will now think about for the rest of the evening. They don't go looking for these things. Their brain flags them automatically, without asking permission. This is perceptual sensitivity, and it means their mind takes in the world at a higher resolution than average, quietly comparing everything against what it expects to find. The cost is that it can be exhausting and a little isolating, because they notice things others genuinely cannot see, and saying so out loud tends to make them sound paranoid. But it's also the root of real insight. They'll remember a friend mentioned being tired 3 weeks ago and connect it to how quiet they've gone lately. They'll notice a coworker's smile didn't reach their eyes and know something's wrong before a word is said. At work, they're the one who catches the error on page 40 that 3 other people already signed off on. In a group photo, they're the only one who notices the thing in the background nobody was supposed to see. The detail everyone else treats as noise, they treat as a signal, and more often than not, they're right. Sign number 3. You're rarely satisfied with your own work. A highly intelligent person finishes something genuinely good and feels almost immediately that it isn't good enough. They see the flaw everyone else missed, the version that could have been better, the gap between what they made and what they imagined. Where others feel proud, they feel a quiet itch that the thing isn't quite right. They'll reread the message they already sent, spot the word they should have changed, and feel it long after everyone else has forgotten the conversation even happened. This happens because they're comparing their work not to other people's, but to the ideal version running in their own head, and reality almost never matches it. The cost is real. They downplay their achievements, struggle to enjoy their wins, and often assume their best work is ordinary because it came easily to them. But this same dissatisfaction is an engine. It's why they revise when others would stop, refine when others would settle, and produce work with a depth that the satisfied rarely reach. You'll see it when they hand something over and immediately start apologizing for the parts they'd still change. You'll see it when a genuine compliment seems to physically bounce off them, because in their head, they're still looking at the flaw. The discomfort is the price of a standard most people don't even have. Sign number 4. You lose interest the moment you've figured something out. A highly intelligent person throws themselves into a new subject with total obsession, learns it faster than anyone expected, and then, right as mastery comes into view, feels the excitement quietly drain away. They jump from hobby to hobby, guitar, then coding, then painting, then something else, leaving behind a trail of half-finished projects and one very confused family. Psychologists link this to need for cognition, a deep hunger for mental stimulation rather than completion. Their brain is chasing the feeling of understanding, not the trophy of finishing. Once the puzzle is solved in their mind, the reward is already collected, and repeating it feels like walking a road they've already mapped. The cost is a lifelong reputation for being flaky or scattered. At work, they shine in the first months of a project, when the problem is unsolved and everything is new, then go quietly restless the moment it becomes routine maintenance. In conversation, small talk drains them because repeating the same surface exchange offers nothing left to understand. They're not moving on because it got hard, they're moving on because their mind already extracted everything it came for, and staying would mean standing still. Sign number 5. Your best ideas arrive at the worst possible times. A highly intelligent person will sit at their desk for hours trying to force a solution and get nothing. Then the answer arrives fully formed in the shower, or half asleep at 2 a.m., or halfway through a walk with no notebook anywhere nearby. It's almost rude how reliably it refuses to show up when they're actually ready for it. This happens because their mind keeps processing problems in the background long after they've consciously stopped working on them. The moment they relax and the mental noise drops, the connection their brain has been quietly assembling finally surfaces. The cost is that they can never fully switch off, because part of them is always still working, and rest never feels completely like rest. This is why so many of them keep a notes app full of half sentences fired off from a bus, or a bedside notebook for the 3 a.m. downloads. The people around them learn that a blank, faraway stare doesn't mean they've checked out. It usually means something is quietly assembling. It waits until they've stopped trying, then taps them on the shoulder at the least convenient moment possible. Sign number 6. You often feel slightly out of step with the people around you. A highly intelligent person walks into a room full of warm, friendly people and feels a quiet gap they can't quite name. Conversations move a little too slowly. A joke gets explained that they understood 3 sentences ago. They keep waiting for others to arrive at a point they reached minutes earlier. They don't feel superior, they feel lonely and vaguely guilty for feeling it. Gifted psychology has a name for this. It's called asynchrony, the sense of being permanently a little out of sync with the people around you, running at a different speed and depth. The cost is that they learn to hide it, dimming themselves to fit in, laughing on cue, shrinking their vocabulary to match the room. They've felt it their whole lives, standing inside a happy group and feeling quietly alone in it, keeping the more unusual thoughts to themselves because experience taught them where the glazed-over looks begin. One real conversation with the right person can carry them through months of surface-level ones. That, they realize, is what connection was always supposed to feel like. Sign number 7. You need a reason before you will follow a rule. Tell a highly intelligent person to do something a certain way, and their first instinct isn't obedience. It's a quiet why. Not to be difficult, their mind simply needs to understand the logic before it can fully commit. Psychologists call this autonomous motivation, the need to act from understanding rather than instruction. If the reason is sound, they'll follow the rule perfectly, better than anyone. But if it seems arbitrary, something in them resists, even when resisting costs them. In school, they were the child who asked the teacher why and got treated like a troublemaker for it. At work, they clash with managers who lead by position instead of reason, because being told to do it because I said so doesn't land for them. It just quietly frustrates them. The cost is a lifetime of being labeled difficult. But give them the real purpose behind a rule and watch the resistance vanish. Suddenly, they're the most reliable person in the room, following the process precisely, because now it makes sense to them. They stop resisting and start improving the system, spotting inefficiencies everyone else stopped noticing years ago. Sign number 8. You can't act until you understand why something works. Most people are happy to use a thing without knowing how it functions. They follow the recipe, press the button, apply the formula, and move on. A highly intelligent person can't quite do that. Before they'll commit to a method, they need to understand the machinery underneath it. And until they do, a part of them refuses to fully engage. This is why they'll spend an hour understanding a tool they could have just used in 5 minutes. Their mind treats a black box as an open question it isn't allowed to ignore. The cost is that they can be slow to start, frustrating to teach, and prone to disappearing down rabbit holes when everyone else has already moved on. It's why they read the whole manual when everyone else guesses, and why they'll pause a movie to work out whether the plot actually holds together. To the people waiting on them, it can look like overkill. But when the tool breaks, or the plan fails, or the situation turns strange, they're the only one who actually understands what's happening. They can fix it when it breaks, adapt it when it fails, and improve it in ways the people who only memorized the steps never could. Sign number 9. You can hold two opposite ideas in your head at the same time. Most people, faced with a contradiction, feel an urgent need to resolve it, to pick a side and be done. A highly intelligent person can sit inside the contradiction and let both sides stay true at once. They can argue a position they don't hold and mean every word. They can love something and see exactly what's wrong with it at the same time, without either feeling canceling the other out. They can see why someone is both right and wrong in the same breath. They rarely feel the itch to collapse a complex thing into a simple verdict. This is a genuine marker of cognitive complexity, and it makes them remarkable at understanding people, weighing hard decisions, and seeing the whole board when others see only their half of it. The cost is that they can seem maddeningly indecisive, unwilling to give the clean yes or no that everyone wants. It's why they make unusually good mediators, seeing the legitimate need buried inside each side of an argument. It's also why a simple question like, "Which one do you prefer?" can leave them genuinely stuck, turning over three answers that are all a little bit true. But it isn't indecision. It's a mind refusing to pretend the world is simpler than it actually is, and quietly holding the full, contradictory truth of it. Sign number 10. You explain things by instinctively reaching for analogies. Watch a highly intelligent person try to explain an idea, and notice what happens. They almost never define it directly. Instead, they say it's like something else. The economy is like a garden. Memory is like a muscle. This situation is like that completely different situation from years ago. They can't help it. Their mind understands the world through the shape of things, the hidden structure two unrelated ideas secretly share, and so it reaches for a bridge to whatever the other person already knows. This is one of the deepest signs of all, because it means they're not just storing facts, they're seeing the architecture underneath them. It's why they explain complicated things so well that people finally understand, and also why they sometimes go too far, stacking analogy on analogy until the poor listener is more lost than when they started. It shows up everywhere once you notice it. They understand a new job by comparing it to an old one, a stranger by comparing them to someone they already know, a hard emotion by comparing it to a place or a weather. But at its best, this is what real understanding looks like. A mind that sees the pattern connecting everything and can hand it to you in a single, perfect comparison. So how many of these were you? 4? 6? All 10? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And if someone came to mind while you watched, the person whose mind works exactly like this, send it to them. They may have gone their whole life without anyone putting it into words. Subscribe, and we'll keep decoding the quiet patterns of the mind.